Hi everybody. I wanted to continue a look at some of my favorite movies in my DVD collection. First up is, if you watched the first episode of this, a Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese masterpiece. You know I love them together. It's called The Departed, and it takes place in Boston, which already could set you up for failure because that's such a tough accent for actors and actresses to really do convincingly. But I think personally it's not distracting. Everybody in it handles the accent pretty well. Jack Nicholson plays a mob boss, and no joke, he is so maniacal and terrifying in this role that sometimes you really truly believe that he is that person, that he is just gonna lose it on all of the characters, and that it truly looks like the people in the scene didn't know what he was going to do, and that he would just go crazy. He's just absolutely horrifying. He's that, calm, scary, where he just killed somebody, but then he sits down for dinner and just pretends like it didn't happen. It's just really freaky, but it's absolutely amazing. Mark Wahlberg, I think this is my favorite Mark Wahlberg role. I don't really seek out his movies or anything like that, but he is so sarcastic and funny, and it's a really intense movie where you're constantly thinking everybody's going to die at any turn, and when Mark Wahlberg's on the screen, he lightens it just long enough, lightens the mood that you can keep going without going crazy. But it's a really good movie. Dogma. I have no idea how I found this movie. I guess maybe I had just seen Clerks, and I think that must be how I found it, because of being starting to get interested in Kevin Smith's work. You have to watch this with an open mind if you attend church, because it definitely plays fast and loose with people's emotions about religion, which that doesn't bother me, but just kind of a little word of warning if that's not a topic that you feel can be mocked, not mocked, lovingly mocked. I mean, someone, he obviously knows what he's talking about, but he definitely pushes the boundaries of what he thinks is acceptable in religion, especially right at the end with a little twist about God. But it's zany. It's got a great cast. I don't know if a lot of people know that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did this movie together, but they're really good. They play two fallen angels, and they kind of banter off of each other, and you can tell they know each other really well and that they're really comfortable with each other, because they just seem really natural together. Chris Rock is he's just goofy, and he's himself, that's for sure. I don't care what name you give his character, he's Chris Rock playing Chris Rock, doing his thing. This is the first time I really noticed Alan Rickman, which, if you're a cinephile, you're probably screaming at me that I have no idea what I'm doing, but just being honest, he's just got that velvety voice and that charisma that's just unmatched, I think, and he just does a really great job in this. So, I recommend it, but just know it's gonna push your buttons on purpose. I do love a good musical, and Dreamgirls, another one of those movies that I didn't catch in theaters, but I saw it when it was on TV, and I just had to have it immediately. I was hooked. The songs are so catchy and so beautiful, and Beyonce is just a force to be reckoned with. Sorry about that. She definitely evokes the Diana Ross qualities that the main character was inspired by. And she looks so glamorous, and they do one of those classic photo shoot montages where she has all the different makeup and the different costumes and the different hairdos, and she just looks so cool and so pretty. And but she plays a very likable character, at least I think she does. She doesn't play her like a evil diva. She really has heart in her character, and I think she did a great job. Jennifer Hudson was given a lot of praise and recognition for her role, and she certainly deserves that. Her songs she sings by herself are absolutely beautiful, and she can really belt it out. Eddie Murphy, I think the first couple scenes he's in, I worried he'd play a caricature of, not necessarily himself, but like a caricature of a James Brown type character. And I thought, oh, maybe this was a mistake, but he really develops the character throughout the film, and by the end you're really moved by his storyline, I think. But I would really give this a look if you're into musicals. So I talked about mockumentaries in the last episode, where I showed A Mighty Wind and Best in Show. This was the first mockumentary I ever watched, which is making fun of the documentary genre. It's like a self-aware documentary. There are no adjectives to adequately describe how amazing this movie is. It is the funniest, goofiest, weirdest blip, like time capsule of that early 2000s time. If you grew up in that time at all, just seeing some of the really stupid fashion choices that everybody thought looked really good, and then hyped up 2 or 3 levels that'll give you a nice blast of nostalgia that you'll enjoy. I loved Kirstie Alley in It Takes Two as a kid. I really did. I thought she was just so smart and so sassy, and I loved her. And she's like that in this movie. She plays a town matriarch who is kind of losing her grip over what the people of the town think is acceptable. And she runs this beauty pageant that is the main subject of the movie. And she just goes insane, and it's the funniest thing ever. Helen Barkin plays Kirsten Dunst's mom. Kirsten Dunst is one of the contestants in the beauty pageant, and Ellen Barkin is just this trashy, goofy mom that is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. She is so funny. And they live in Mount Rose, Minnesota. And so they all had to have this Minnesota accent that is just absolutely amazing. I wonder every time I watch it, like, what would it be like if that was your accent to watch this movie? Would you just kind of think like, I don't get what's so funny. They just sound like me. Or, we don't sound like that. That's insane. I guess my own Great Lakes Midwestern accent isn't probably too far off to some folks, but it's just so darn funny. When they are doing the montage of interviewing the gals for, that kind of sit-down Q&A portion of a beauty pageant, it is so funny. It is just so darn funny. There's a point in the movie where you think they're going to wrap it up, and you think you've reached the conclusion, and then they tack on like another 20 minutes of just chaos. It's almost like they said, hey, look, we found $10,000 in the budget. Let's just, add on a half hour to the script. Just keep going. Like, no holds barred, weird, zany stuff. And I just love it. The part where they go to the Mall of America and they're coming up with the American theme for this year's show is just, that's just the funniest thing ever. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I follow Focus Features on Facebook because I just started to notice that anything they put out I almost always loved, and their page kept recommending this to me. And I do this really stupid thing where, and I do it with books too, if somebody tells me it'll be perfect and amazing too many times, I get kind of stubborn and I decide that I would hate it. I don't want to watch it. It can't be that good. Don't tell me I'll love it. There's no way. And I avoided this movie for a long time. And I knew there was some weird thing about Kate Winslet's hair, and I thought that's just a dumb trope. Her emotions are based off of her hair, but I think they just amped that up in their advertisement. It's not as stupid of an idea as it sounds like. If you like Jim Carrey in his pet detective style, this is not the Jim Carrey you're gonna get. If you like him more in the Truman Show, quieter, more subtle, small little choices, if you like more of that style of Jim Carrey, then I think you'd enjoy this. It's got a funky timeline, and I'm not trying to give anything away, but it's one of those movies where you don't necessarily realize you're being flashback and flash forward at first. They want you to be confused for a while, and I think the more movies I watch, the more I like that. I like the intelligence of a movie that expects you to keep up. It doesn't just hand the plot to you on a silver platter. You have to sit and watch the whole thing, and you have to keep up. And it's really great for a second watch as well, because you see things you definitely missed the first time. So if you're watching it and you think it's weird and it's not going anywhere, it does. It really does. I think it's a satisfying ending. But yeah, I think it lives up to the praise that it earned, whether or not I think so at first. I come around. Got a couple more here. Fantastic Mr. Fox. I am definitely a Wes Anderson fan. I can't claim to have seen every movie. I haven't seen Bottle Rocket or Rushmore, but I've seen everything else. And I was so surprised that he was going to do a stop-motion animated film when I saw the trailer for this. It for some reason, I was just really surprised. But when you're watching it, it just feels, it feels like his other movies. It just so happens that they're little foxes that are animated. But it still has all the classic elements of a Wes Anderson film. It has that visual symmetry and that really distinct color palette that he sticks with for each Each film has that unique color palette. It's got a lot of the same voices that you'll hear Jason Schwartzman, Bill Murray, the Wilsons, in his other films. It's so funny. This little one right here, I can never remember his name, but we actually have a little picture of him in the house that he's just so darn sassy and cranky and funny, and I've known a lot of kids like that. He's just so awesome. And George Clooney as Mr. Fox is just, I mean, it's what he always is, super charming and super lovable. I don't know why there's an orange sticker on it, but apparently there is. It's really quick and it's really witty, and the dialogue is really fast and snappy, and kind of like what I said before, it wants you to keep up. It's not going to slow down so that you can understand it. It wants you to keep up. And I appreciate that about Wes Anderson movies, that he embraces the most flawed part about a character and then really sits in that funk for as much of the movie as he can. And if you can't handle it, move on. He probably wouldn't appreciate me saying that, but I think there's kind of that arrogance of his movies, that he's going to make these weird people in this funny little life that doesn't look like a cookie cutter movie. It probably looks a lot more like a real family than you'd expect, and you just gotta follow them through their adventure, and you learn to love them. Two more for you. So, I've talked a lot about movies that are strange and weird, and I guess that's my thing. This is the weirdest little movie. It is a man leading a band named Frank, and he wears a papier-mâché head. You don't see his face. You don't find out for a long time why he wears the head. It's actually Michael Fassbender under there, which he's had a lot of mainstream success with some of his different things, 300 and the X-Men series and lots of different things he's doing. And then there's just this weird indie style conglomeration of strange people making a band in this movie, and there he is, a huge movie star playing Frank. Domhnall Gleeson and Maggie Gyllenhaal have a love-hate, like love-despise relationship as band members that is just really funny. There's a hot tub scene that I just think, I don't know how they got through it. They must have been laughing incessantly. It's very funny. I didn't know who Scoot McNairy was, but I really enjoyed him in the Netflix series Godless, and I'd seen this a couple times before I saw that, and then when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the same sheriff, that's the same guy. They sing their own songs, which sound like someone banging a bunch of metal objects around in a trash can, and they're proud of that. That's what they want. They love it. Maggie Gyllenhaal plays a theremin, which is that electronic device where you just kind of move your hands up and down to make the different sounds, and don't touch your effing theremin is all I'm going to say about that. But it's just, whenever we show it to people, I just watch them watch the movie, because it's so weird the entire time, and I just watch them go, okay, and I love it. For some reason I just love it, but not everybody that watches it seems to really appreciate it, and so when I ask them, what'd you think? They don't want to disappoint me, but they just kind of go, uh-huh. So I don't know if you got a rainy day and you got 2 hours to kill and you just want to see something really weird but touching, and have these songs that don't make any sense stuck in your head for a week, then you gotta go for it. The last one is Barbara. And if I say it, Barbara, that's actually a Drop Dead Gorgeous reference. Funny Girl. It's a musical about a gal trying to find her way as a singer and an actress and a dancer, and out of nowhere she gets a break, and next thing you know she's in the Ziegfeld Follies, and she's gonna be a huge star. And along the way, kind of pushing her forward and teasing her into saying out loud what she wants is Omar Sharif. And it's their love story, and I can't give too many adjectives about their love story without giving anything away, but oh, it just pulls at your heartstrings in every way possible. The songs are just so funny, and she's just a force to be reckoned with. Every note, every little line is just so well thought out and so sincere. I think that's what I have to say about it. She makes everything seem so sincere that I just gobble it up. I just love her. She's absolutely amazing. The little scene where she's on roller skates in the little purple dress. I don't know. It just looks like she woke up one day born to do that. She rehearsed it because it's so perfect, but at the same time it just looks so natural and effortless that you're just mesmerized by her, and you just think, how is all this talent bottled up in this one human? It just doesn't seem possible. But yeah, she's just it's my new life goal to just watch every Barbara movie as much as I possibly can, because there's just no one like her. The scene down here with the brides. Oh my gosh, it's just so funny. So, I hope that you found some good recommendations, and I'm gonna say goodbye.